You bet. Thank you.
Well, as America's opioid epidemic continues, in some ways worsens, a new feature is coming to a decaying metropolis near you. It's called a safe injection site. So rather than help addicts get off drugs, many cities are trying to create publicly funded areas where addicts can shoot drugs intravenously, legally. Denver just approved one. Bill de Blasio, of course, would like one in New York. Seattle has been fighting to open one for years. The question is, will any of these sites, if they're opened, open anywhere near the homes of the people who want to build them? The answer, of course, is no. But what is it like when one opens in your neighborhood? Jason Rance is radio host, and he joins us tonight. Jason, thanks very much for coming on. So this is one of those ideas that's been discussed for many years. It exists mostly in the realm of the theoretical. What happens when it becomes real? What's the effect of one of these sites?
The effect is exactly what you probably think it is, which is it has the capacity to ruin neighborhoods. I went up to Vancouver in British Columbia. I happened to be there on vacation, and I decided, let me go to the heroin injection site area. And it's devastating. You see lots of people who are living out on the streets with addiction that's clearly not being treated. I saw, a drug deal going down when I was there, which apparently is not supposed to happen when you have these heroin injection sites. And it's just sad. And the debate has been, at least here in Seattle, and I'm assuming in Denver soon, we don't want them necessarily in our neighborhoods.
It also is sad, I would think, for the addicts. By the way, this has been tried in Europe. I believe this was tried in Switzerland 20 years ago, and it was stopped because it was too depressing. But doesn't it suggest that municipalities are kind of giving up on the people? Like, we're not going to try to convince you to stop using heroin or give you treatment. We're just going to let you do it until, I guess, you die? Is that what they're saying? What are they saying?
It's an unfortunate reality, because when they first started to talk about it in Seattle, it was about saving people, right? It was about helping people who were addicted to heroin. And then it started to become, okay, well, now it's just about making sure that when they do inject themselves with this deadly drug, they don't die of an overdose, which is something, no one wants to see overdose deaths. I think in a lot of cases, some of these people's hearts are in the right place. But, there's a group of people like myself who say, well, a really safe way to deal with this is to get the person off of heroin. We can offer treatment on demand, which is something that, we have the money for. I'm in a state where the governor, who desperately wants to be president, he's not going to be, he suggested $1.1 billion to save the orcas in the Puget Sound. And saving the orcas, very important, but he offered $30 million to deal with the opioid crisis. And it would feel more appropriate if maybe you switch those numbers around.
Right, that's for sure.
If you've got the money. Yeah, human life, I think, is a little bit more valuable here.
So leaders are supposed to need to care about the people they lead, or else they can't lead effectively. Is there a parent in the world who, upon finding out that his kid was using heroin, do you think would say, you know what, I'm going to get you clean needles, you can shoot up in your bedroom, I can't stop you, but I just want you to inject safely at home? Would any parent say that? Or would a parent instead say, I'm going to do whatever I can to get you off it?
The people who don't have kids who are supportive of this will say that if they were a parent and they were in that circumstance, they would. But when you talk to normal people, when you talk to the average everyday person, of course they don't want that to happen. And I feel like if we're not going to do that with our own kids, perhaps we should not do that with other people's kids. I know it's difficult. I know that it is expensive. And I know that when people are addicted to heroin, they have to be in a place where they feel ready to overcome that addiction, but something that gets in the way of feeling ready is handing them a needle to say, hey, shoot up here, we'll supervise it, and it's Seattle, so it's probably going to be a little bit crazier. We'll set the mood light right, we'll have some smooth jazz in the background. That's just not an appropriate way to go about this. I would rather we focus our energy on actual services to save them, to get them off of this drug.
Exactly. So nicely put. It is difficult, it is complicated, but that's what you do when you care. And when you don't care, you do exactly what they're doing now. They don't care, do they?
I don't want to say none of them care, right? I think there's some people whose hearts are in the right place, but it does seem to be the more lazy way. It's just lazier. And I've been trying to think about why some people support this, and I haven't really gotten a straight answer. There's some people who basically want to legalize heroin. It's a small group of people, but there are folks in this community who are fighting for heroin injection sites who are of the opinion that you could live a normal life and have normal relationships and be basically a functioning addict. And I suppose that's certainly possible with some cases, but I don't think the risk is worth it. And so you start talking to people, they just feel like, it seems like they don't want to offend someone who's addicted, and they want to be there when you're ready. And it's a very emotional approach. Again, I appreciate the emotion behind it. It just doesn't work. And that's how the conversation weirdly, again, started. We're saving people. Then I said, okay, well, how many people are actually getting off of their addiction? And magically, there's no data that they can cite.
Exactly. Junkies don't feel anything, and you can't be alive if you don't feel things. Jason, thank you. It was really smart and interesting and helpful. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.